Uh, Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Open Central Asia RIC. Good evening, dear teachers from Central Asia. Welcome to Open Central Asia Regional Interest Community. Today's webinar, special webinar with Anna Blyum from Kazakhstan. And she's going to conduct session on empowering students to find their voice, soft skills, and self-expression in the ESL classroom. So first, I would like to introduce Ms. Blyum. Ms. Blyum currently coordinates the English Access Program in Kostanay and co-facilitates classes at the American Corner. She's a regular presenter at national and international conferences and recently partnered with Macmillan Publishing to deliver workshops in 6 Kazakhstani cities, reaching more than 500 teachers. Beyond education, she also consults and trains in public health and education projects with organizations such as the United Nations and the ICUDDR. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you so much, Jürgen. Good to be here. Okay, so it asked me for the permission, so I guess we can share my slides. Ta-da. All right, I guess we can go into presenter mode. Okay, can you guys see it?
Sorry, before you starting, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I am Yerkin Abdurrahimov, one of the community leaders on Central Asia Interest Community. And today I will be working along with my colleague from Uzbekistan, Gulkhan Kakilova. She will be moderating the chat box and will be facilitating the Q&A session. Thank you.
All right. So today, the topic of empowering ESL students is a hot one, and I guess you guys have enough skills to do it on your own. But I'm not going to recreate the bicycle. I'm not going to perhaps open the new universe, but perhaps we can revisit some of the key points today. And a couple things about the soft skills. Sometimes I talk too fast. Sometimes I might be too loud or too emotional or something. Please feel free to slow me down, to interrupt, because the last thing I want is us spending 1 hour of me just blabbering through, and you guys not benefiting from it at all. Okay? So, I'm also not a native speaker as much as I'm trying to perfect my English. So I'm mindful of that. So everybody's, in different level of their practice, and those who are teaching, let's be honest about it too. Those who are teaching lower grade students, like our primary students and perhaps even secondary students, some of us get stuck in practice of certain things that are pretty basic, and so we fall out of practice ourselves. So this is not to say the teachers become bad. This is to say that we need to support our own skills as well in our own teaching and speaking practice. So for that reason, I want us to use this webinar as an opportunity to exchange more and to use it as a practice session too, okay? So it's not just me talking, it's more of like both of us. So why am I doing what I'm doing and why I love it? The reason is that I have come long ago to the understanding that, for example, right now, teaching an access program, I can probably bet there is maybe, hopefully, 1 student out of 32 that I have that will go and pursue foreign language degree. The rest will probably choose something else. So then what's the motivating factor for them to learn English? The motivating factor is to make English the means to their dream or to their goals, right? So this is what kind of we are there for. But we also know that in modern universe, getting a scholarship to pursue engineering, getting a scholarship to do anything becomes extremely key to students, particularly those that are vulnerable. And it's not enough anymore to have just English proficiency level. It is more than necessary to be able to present yourself, to talk about yourself. It is really essential to go beyond the language proficiency to those skills that make a difference, right? And make us actually choose one person versus the other. So for that reason, I want to start not from a lecture, but from a question. How are you guys today? And I would like us to have unmuted mics unless you guys have kids and you have a reason to be muted. So please feel free to
Please,
just say out loud.
yeah. Please, dear participants, please share your answers in the chat box.
Or since I'm trying not to block the full screen, I would be grateful if you guys just say it out loud. Just unmute yourself. We agreed that we're talking, I hope.
Okay.
So how are you guys?
Okay.
Hello, Anna.
Good evening, Anna.
Hello.
Yeah, please
Uh,
raise your hands. Raise your hands. We have a chat moderator and
Okay, let's do it quick though. She's gonna pick one and yeah. So I heard okay. What else?
Hey,
Uh-huh. Tatiana has a hand risen.
So, is Tatiana? Yes.
yes, hello, hello everyone. I'm so glad to see you all, especially Miss Anna. We were presented to each other in Karaganda in this year conference, CASTI conference, and it was a very useful and encouraging experience for us. Look,
And
good
still the
luck.
question. Good to see you, Tatiana. But still the question is in the air. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine today. I'm a little bit busy for my weekend, but I want to do everything that I planned because it's very
Good.
important for me.
Good to hear. Okay, let's do a couple more.
Yeah, and also on our chat box, Miss Saida, Miss Alima, she's fine and super. Mukadam feels like she's so energetic today. Farida is feeling tired. And Zarina, she's fine also. Yes, and Mr. Yerkin is very great as usual. And Aziza, she is feeling great.
Perfect. I got the whole compilation from one person, huh? Good. So why do you think, guys, I'm asking you all of this? Why do you think I'm asking how are you? Why am I starting from that simple question?
feel free and
Can I answer?
the friendly atmosphere.
Can I answer?
Yes,
Try to
please.
be
Raise your
friendly,
hand, Miss
open
Alima.
to each other. Me, yes. As I have told right now, you asked this question to make a good and friendly atmosphere between colleagues, between teachers, and feel more free, confident, be more open during the
Perfect.
session, answer your
And
questions, and be like
yeah,
friends, maybe.
I would
Not
love
only
that.
not only like colleagues, but just friends, and
I would
share
love
our
that.
experience.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so, as it was mentioned, right, we often ask like this question, and I love to start all like the workshops and seminars from that. And typically, if you do present in front of the audience, like in a live setting, right, you typically ask teachers. And when the audience has never seen you, nobody knows you, typically what you get as traditional answers is what we started from. I'm okay, I'm well, I'm good. And it's that polite, positive answer. But you can see that people are tired. You can see that, it's the end of the day right now. And I would be a fool not to assume somebody might be sleepy, somebody might be hungry. Somebody is in doubt whether they will spend the time with use or they will regret wasting 1 hour on me, right? So for that reason, it's always good. Oh, my slide doesn't want to switch. Okay. So it's good to say, how are you really, right? So that's what I'm typically when the experience of training 500 teachers around, of course, it didn't happen in one go. We've been through the cities, and it's amazing that the majority of teachers started from those formal, responsive, polite answers. And the reason why would you tell okay or good, and why would we have the internal hesitation to share what we really feel? Like, for example, if I were to ask Yerkin, how are you, Yerkin? Of course, right now, he's a host of a big thing that is shared in the whole Central Asia. And of course, we need to maintain the positive attitude and be hosts and be all energetic. But what if he is tired? Why doesn't he have a right to say that he is tired, because that has nothing to do with me as a presenter. If Yerkin right now like has guts to say, hey Anna, you know, I'm tired, I'm bored and sleepy, like this is what he's coming with. And when our students, why am I doing what I'm doing? You're right. I want us to have the free, trusted atmosphere. But on top of that, I want to recognize that this is the most popular question we're asking our students when they walk in. And of course, they're kids and they hesitate to tell us the truth because they want to be polite to us, right? Why would I tell the teacher I'm sleepy? Why would I tell the teacher I'm angry? But that's what I'm encouraging my students more and more because I need to know what they're coming from. I have a girl who has a younger sister, so when I can see her dozing like this, she falls asleep. I know it has nothing to do with me or with the class. She wants to be in the class, but she's tired because she's an elder one. She comes from a vulnerable family where the responsibilities are sometimes too much for her. So why would we do this in English classroom? And I would love to like probably ask all of you, but basically, you know, in class, I'm also like putting a methodological note. For class, you can do Menti or any kind of poll that you want, right? I could have done a Zoom poll. I just didn't want to mess up with switching. So basically, you can provide them options if they're beginners level, hungry, tired, motivated, overwhelmed, curious, right? Or we can actually give them freedom to write their answers, collect them on board. So you can actually make it as an interactive activity with your students. And I could have done the same, but I would prefer is like not to waste too much time. That's why I've done like what I've done. So result of that is that you start the class, but your students actually also learn different words. Some of them will learn the word sleepy fly. I'm like a sleepy fly right now, right? It's a good expression, not very used by our students because why would they tell you the truth, right? Or, you know what, I'm hangry. That's a good word to teach them. It's hungry and angry, but they laugh usually when you actually explain that. But that also provokes them instantly to start expressing themselves from the get-go. Instead of giving us those formal answers, I'm okay, I'm good, I'm well, we are expanding the vocabulary to actually say what they're feeling at the moment, which is also part of a self-expression and part of the emotional intelligence, right? Even if I'm feeling irritated or angry, I'm actually managing my feelings, but I'm also telling it out loud. So the next activity I want to share, which also can help you create a little bit more of a friendly atmosphere. And those who know, I like to share it with the group of psychologists or psychiatrists when I train those. Who am I? And why do you think right now, for example, some of you might know me, some of you might not, but why do you think I would do that activity? And maybe right now I would have loved to ask you a couple questions like who do you see and who am I? See, the reason why I couldn't have used that because I knew Yirkin will read my bio. So I'm screwed up at the beginning, cannot use that, but I'll explain the purpose why you might want to consider using that. When you walk in at the beginning of the like school year, for example, the activity of who am I will allow your students, you know, they will discuss you anyway, right? They will discuss us behind our back. They will want to know how old we are. They would want to know if we're married or not, if we have kids of our own. So instead of getting the distance, here is the hierarchy, I would actually love to cut the distance. I would love to allow them to suppose, to explore, and they will throw anything they want. Of course, the questions, you can suggest them the questions. I would have also asked you, like, for example, Yirkin, of course, wouldn't include in professional biography something like, are you married, right? He's not going to tell you that. But if I were to ask you, what do you think, guys? Am I married or not? What do you guys think?
I think
Couple.
yes.
You
You're
think
married.
yes? Okay. Thank you, Olima.
Might be not.
Might be not. Okay. I have children?
One or two children might be.
One or two? Any more options? Oh,
Okay, Miss Anna, good evening. I think
good
you are
evening.
not married and you have no children.
Okay, so Miss Farida suggests I'm not married and I have no kids. And see, I'm tapping right now in questions that are usually culturally really hard for us to open up to, right? So if you allow your students to actually, like if you allow your students to ask those questions, you are the one determining the distance. I prefer to cut it short because they're anyway interested in our family background. And later on, when we talk about families, they will want to know anyways. And they will also be opening up to you about their families. And some of my kids might not have parents. So sometimes I go beyond like questions that might be formal and I go into personal ones for a reason. So the moment I see it can benefit children to actually like get to know single parent house, like full family, the word orphan, the word I don't have parents, I'm adopted, for example, even to teach them to speak it freely, I need to normalize that. So for that reason, sometimes I go into personal questions. Should you decide to do this activity, make sure that you're comfortable then providing the true answers. I cannot leave you right now without answering. And you're right, I'm not married yet, and I still don't have kids. As a joke, I have 32, and they're all not mine formally, but they're all mine. They're all my students. So, and I treat it very personally. But you're right, formally I don't. So see, if I am opening up to, creating floor for asking those, then I should be also providing the answers. So make sure that you're comfortable. Oh, why do you think why would you think the assumption game will be useful? Like on top of the reasons that I might have spilled out.
So to create a warm atmosphere, I think, and to be open, with each other during the class.
So
Maybe
true.
it's like a warming up activity to start a lesson before.
Yeah.
To make students to think over, reflect their fresh ideas, and somehow to make them to speak as more as possible as they can, because they have different background, different levels of speaking, and they try to do the best.
That's true. That's true. Anyone else?
I would say that not to reveal all the things, at once. It's let the children, speak and, make some connections with teachers.
Okay. So if you're at the beginning of the year, there might have been a different teacher before. So we're almost competing for their love, and attitude. Then there might have been just something going on at home that makes them kind of have an attitude to you, right? We all have biases, we know that. And so it's a good also topic to teach kids something that we call empathy, which is, the respectful, understanding attitude that whatever happens in somebody's life, we cannot step into those shoes directly, right? We're trying to be understanding of people, but circumstances are different. We're also teaching them that what are the influences? So how do our assumptions affect how we teach, right? We also sometimes have a kid entering the room. So it goes two ways, basically, right? The children enter the room, we look at them, we have enough experience, we have enough knowledge in terms of how they're dressed, how they're sort of like walking in, what's the expression on their face. So sometimes this information can also mislead us in judging what the kid is about, right? We make an impression and we also get an impression. Same happens with kids. They walk into the room and they instantly create something based on their limited experience of life and their knowledge of teachers, and they already decided something about you. So this game helps also to work through one of the basically good qualities and explain kids that sometimes it's not good to judge the book by the cover. And again, see how I have used one expression, walk in somebody's shoes, then judge the book by the cover. So that's not the topic of our presentation today, but that's something you can actually basically intertwine or integrate into your classroom as well on a go, if the level of students allow us, of course, right? So that would be that. So I would love right now to actually, something that I wanted to do is the self-expression activity, which would have normally be me suggesting you to do a little post for a blog or social media. So why don't we experiment? You're gonna have basically, I would give you guys like 2-3 minutes. Why don't you do a self-introduction right now in the chat? So let's say we're all trying to become friends. So basically that would be something, or we're looking for a pen friend. So your goal would be to try to write, a self-introduction. What would you say in that blog or SMS post?
Yes, please, dear participants, you can write in the chat box.
I know some of us might be on the phones, so that might be a little bit more challenging than for the rest of us. And we don't have a luxury of me asking you to do a self-recorded video, which I would love to. That's actually another way you can do that activity. When you're doing it with students, it can also allow you to do the point A, right? You're asking them to do a self-recorded presentation, and that can be your beginning of the year marker of assessment.
Yeah, as it takes that quite time. So let's first, Anna, let's ask them to choose which one they prefer, blog or SM post.
Just choose one, but in any case, it's a short little blurb about you where you are trying to introduce yourself. And if someone, in the meanwhile, while other colleagues are writing, if someone can actually get ready to maybe say it out loud, that would be great too. Like basically about 40 seconds, 1 minute speech.
Yeah, yes, please. Any volunteers? If there are any volunteers, you can unmute yourself or raise your virtual hand to speak.
I think Saida is raising the hand.
Yeah, please, Saida, please.
Thank you very much. Let me introduce myself. I'm Saida from Fergana, and currently I'm a student of Webster University, a master student, and also I'm a teacher in private school. And I'm very glad to see you while I'm participating here. Thank you very much.
All right. So what do you guys think about a self-introduction that we've just heard?
Yeah, as we don't have, as she don't have, or we don't have much time, it's quite short.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's do just a couple little
it's
sharings.
pretty good.
Okay. So looks like we have a pretty good introduction. We got Saida's name, we got what she does, right? But would you consider if you were right now to choose a friend for yourself? Because I told you guys, right? You're imagining a post that you're doing to like get a pen friend or someone. So if you were to get a friend and you were to hear 2 introductions, what would actually be good or something that you would improve in that introduction? What would you like to know?
I have again an answer. May I?
Uh-huh.
I really I would to know about my friend's family situation and his or her interests and future aims.
Okay. So see, after we do a self-introduction on a spot, right? When we calm down and we stop being nervous about the one talking out loud, we actually can revise our own thing, right? What is interesting is I want you guys to think, so this type of self-introduction can be done in a classroom and we do it as a self-expression, right? But look at the questions. Oh, you guys can see my chat, but I think I need to make it better. So look at all these questions, right? Typically what we hear like from teachers as well as from students is how old are they? Do they have kids? What do they do in free time? So some of those start with my name is, and I'm your teacher, right? We also present ourselves like this in the beginning of the year. And this is not maybe something, this is what we're comfortable to do because we're used to do. And if you have ever tried to ask your kids to speak about yourself, you probably notice that this is the pattern that they fall into. They come and you hear, I'm Alan, and I'm this many years old, and I study at school number whatnot, and I'm, in ninth grade. And that's what you typically hear. Then you hear another boy, and let's call him Alan on purpose too. And he's 16 years old, and the school number is different, and the class is different, but the structure is exactly the same. You see where I'm getting with that, right? So how do we make our students stand out? And typically we want them to participate in flags, in any type of scholarship. And we need those kids because they're all individual. We need to help them to stand out. That's why we're talking about soft skills and self-expression today, right? All the text on my slides will be available to you. So I could have done, that's all of this is driving me to the workshop overview and goals. I could have given you that boring long slide. But instead, let's go simple, right? Let's look at why soft skills matter. And we kind of touched on that already, that this is basically helping our students to function in modern world in English as well as in their own language. You'd be surprised. We can train soft skills. And if I work on children's presentation in their own native language, that will spill out into English too. Or if you have provided them that freedom to say that they're hangry today, they're going to be they're going to feel much more comfortable to express what they think, what they do, and what they feel in the rest of their essays and whatever they want, you want them to work on, right? So we will also touch why self-expression improves fluency. And we basically want to use a couple tools that are practical, right? And couple exercises you've already seen. So what I want us not to lose too much time, what is a hard skill for us as teachers and what is the soft skill? What, for example, would English be for us? Hard skill or soft skill?
Yes, please, dear participants, you can share in the chat box or you can unmute yourself to speak, or you can raise your virtual hand to speak.
What's the difference between hard skills and soft skills? I forgot it.
Thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate see what's happening right now. This is also a skill that is a great skill, but not always very functional in our kids. Sometimes, like Alima feels free to ask a question, right? And that's typically what we need to also. And that's what we also need to facilitate in our kids, that it's best to ask, because if one person has forgotten, chances are somebody else did, right? So can somebody tell me what's the difference between soft skills and hard skills?
I forgot it, absolutely.
The soft skills, I think every teacher should know how to, not should know, but soft skills, I think it includes communication, adaptability, and intellect, critical thinking. Hard skills, it's like information technology, I think, but I don't know exactly.
Good one. So let's think about it. If I see, it's easy, like the way to easily remember the difference between hard skills and soft skills, it will be different depending on what we are trying to choose a person for. If I'm asking like us to choose a teacher of English, then English will happen to be a hard skill. Teaching English will be a hard skill because that is all that falls under the professional qualification. So this is how I choose a taxi driver. I want a taxi, or let's say you're hiring a driver, right? There is a difference between the driver A and driver B. Teacher B have great English skills, and that's what's equally good in them. But there is a reason why we would prefer to hire teacher A or driver A versus driver B or teacher B. And this is all additional skills that makes it different. For example, your driver usually comes a little bit earlier, smiles to you, asks how you are today, and actually suggests helping without you even asking for it. That's not his professional qualification, right? It's his personal choice and his personal qualities. Even when he has a bad day, he keeps smiling, he keeps doing the
Yes.
same.
Yeah.
The other driver will still be a professional driving you well, but he's always grumpy. He just does what he does and he doesn't go extra mile.
Yeah.
The teacher A and teacher B can have great English skills, but one really cares about the kids, really manages well to establish rapport and connection, knows a lot, and kids are always happy to see him or her. They're always like running to ask for an advice. And for whatever reason, the other teacher teaches English really well, but that's it. So it doesn't
Yes.
happen. And even as teacher to a teacher, right? There is a certain colleague I will prefer to communicate to or with, or there is a certain colleague we work together, but you know what? That's it. Right? So that's the difference basically. Those soft skills matter, and that will matter for our kids when they step outside of English classroom. But as we said, it's important to learn how to navigate the modern world, even in native language, in Russian or Kazakh or whatever language it may be for any of the Central Asian countries, right? If the kid speaks Uzbek originally, or like some of my kids are from villages, they had hard time navigating Russian. So I have a colleague, because my Kazakh is rusty by now. So I am always careful about them being able to express what they feel. If they need to have a personal conversation and I cannot manage with something, I will have a way to do it. Right? Because I care that they are free to express themselves. And this applies to our, like whenever you're asking them to create an essay, that might be a good way to avoid ChatGPT. I will show you a couple examples just as an illustration. So let's move on. So basically that's a summary slide. We kind of covered it all. I'm just leaving, there is more text on my slides for a reason, because sometimes I'm being asked to provide more information or can I have a detailed presentation? But we all know that the good rule of good presentation is don't have tons of text on it. So my goal wasn't to do a good presentation. My goal was to leave more information so I can share it in the future and you guys can have more. So when the goal is, so basically let's summarize for a little moment, right? So why would we teach self-presentation to kids? Because that can help them reflect on personality, their own values, and I'm using flex as just one of the things that traditionally all Central Asian kids might want to apply for, right? So that's when they will need to stand out. And if we don't teach it in English classroom, unfortunately, nobody else will. So that also pertains to showcasing their leadership, their curiosity, their maturity, and helps them, of course, to stand out and be clear about that. If they have thought about it in your class, they are safe to respond to the question, what's your strong qualities? What's your not so strong qualities, right? These are hard ones to answer even in native language, and we're asking those in English. So remember how I asked for the volunteer? And we had a volunteer, and of course she started from my languages because we might not know. And that was a good introduction. She gave us a really good information. What could be done if we were, for example, to ask her to prepare in advance, she might actually use something we call hook, right? And that's what I encourage my kids. If I will succeed playing a video, I will show you quickly. So starting with a hook, which takes about 5-10 seconds, and it's used to grab the attention, right? It can be something unique, something funny, or something surprising. So if we were to go back to the lady who was sharing today, it wasn't Alima. I'm trying to... Can somebody remind me the name of the lady who did the self-presentation?
Saida Khan.
Saida Khan.
Yeah.
Yes, Miss Saida.
Saida, so while we're looking at the example, can you think of a hook that you might want to use right now if you were to do it again? And in the meanwhile, I'm asking, as an example, look at the, let's use the second one. So let's say that's the beginning. And instead of saying my name is, I'm actually gonna start with, I'm the kind of person who organizes a debate at school one day and then bakes cookies for everyone the other day. because ideas and kindness both matter to me. My name is Anna and I'm blah, 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 right? So that might actually grab the attention much faster, and it creates some twist because that's not what you were expecting. Saida, so if you were to say something that would work as a hook about you, what would that be? And I know I'm again putting you on the spot.
No, it doesn't matter, no problem. I'm a person who loves reading fiction books and very organized teacher. And I'm Saida from Fergana. I have 3 children.
See, so she would have started actually from I love to read fiction, and I forgot what was that. I'm a strong teacher. I'm an organized teacher. And so see, that creates a different flavor, right? There are certain pieces of information she would choose. And that reflects again on either her values. See, the first thing she brought up is I like to read fiction. So that instantly tells you the person is probably pretty creative, has imagination. So if I'm a book lover, that instantly grabs my attention differently, right? So that's the one thing. So basically, then we go, as Saida actually intuitively proceeded, who you are as a basic information. And you would I'm purposefully putting the timing so you can actually guide your students later on and try this if you want. Should you want to use that activity? My name is Alina, I'm 15 years old, and I come from a small town in Kazakhstan. And again, see, not just a dot in Kazakhstan, but I'm adding something where everybody knows everyone. And I like to stand out a little. See, this already adds a little bit more personality into the topic about yourself versus the regular text where we just name the geographical location, right? Then I'm asking my students to highlight their passions and strengths, another 20-25 seconds. And here is a small example. I love learning languages and discovering how different people think. I'm part of my school Eco Club, and I recently helped organize a cleanup campaign in our park. I also teach English to my younger cousin, which makes me be a student and a teacher both. See how different is that from our traditional introduction? And that's a simple example they can easily do. If this is something for a particular program, of course, we can do Y-Flex. Or if this is something to engage for a pen friend, as we wanted, right? You will change that. And then I'm asking them, closing is as important as the beginning. So I'm asking them to show their voice. I'm asking them to also pick something to end with. I may be from a small town, but I dream big, and flex is my next step. See, sounds pretty different, but already makes a strong statement. I don't wait for opportunities, I prepare for them. That's why I'm here, if that's for an interview, right? So to actually, there is a lot more. I can spend, every session, if Yerkin allows me, to keep going on soft skills and more soft skills. But I wanted to show this. I will share the presentation that will have more, because it's just not feasible to cover everything in 1 hour. This is basically what you're going to have as a sample, right? Again, not reading through that, but that's another example. If this is for an email front website, which I actually dream to create, I will definitely sabotage Yerkin to do those and all of you. So if you guys agree to establish pen friends or internet pen friends basically for our kids, I would love to do that so kids can actually practice intercultural communication too. Although we all live in Central Asia, there are things that they want to practice as a soft skill and as an intercultural communication and get to know traditions more. So this would be something that I will encourage them to post. And so far we're using little access page. So this is the prompts that you can do. These are the phrases and vocabulary you can provide if they're still not there, if you need to support them with more explanation and examples. Here is the structure. Again, just to summarize that one. And let me, if we can play that, if it will play, that would be great. Skip verification. So this is not something professional, and that has not been rewritten. So I have not been editing or doing anything with that. I just uploaded it. Actually, this one is from the story from a student of mine. Oops.
Music or watching horror movies. That's my perfect cozy evening. Hi, my name is Sasha. I'm 15 and I'm from Tabul, Kazakhstan. I love creativity, good food, and stories that makes you feel something, whether it's comfort or a little fear. I'm also a big animal lover, especially cats. I could spend time just watching them being curious and independent. They always makes life feel a bit lighter. Crocheting teaches me patience, cooking helps me share warmth with others, and music keeps inspiring my day. My playlist is full of so different songs, calm, energetic, sad, and a little mysterious. I dream of traveling the world, exploring new culture, tasting new food, and maybe one day crocheting somewhere in Paris while I'm listening to my favorite playlist. Because I believe that every small patience, every dream, and every melody makes life more beautiful. And that's exactly how I want to live it.
So that was it. It's a 1-minute video. And if your students feel comfortable, I only post videos or ask students to post if they're comfortable with their permission, but I'm encouraging them because, and I expose my students to video camera with their permission, because if they will overcome the fear in front of me, I keep telling them there is nothing they will fear after me. So that's basically it. And you can also practice that in pairs as well. So that's that. So that's Sasha's story. And then let me see if I can. Oops. Oh, stop sharing. But I actually don't want to stop sharing. Come on. All right, I lost it a little bit. So just to leave enough time for, okay, let me find that again. Come on, buddy, work with me. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that was Sasha's example. And I have another one from a boy. And basically, if it's gonna, oh, it doesn't show it as an active link, right? Okay. Well, I will keep the link for Alan's story, but this is basically, you can probably see, I have posted on a slide the text that the guys allowed me to share. So this is all a short introduction. Sasha actually has 2 versions of the video, that one that she recorded at home, and the other one, that's the one. See the little ending, I didn't delete, where I was in the street. And this one says, and this one is where I was at home. So that's a linking anchor for me. So she had 2 videos, and her classmates, actually her Access classmates, provided feedback suggesting which one they love more and what was positive in one or the other. The other one was completely informal, playful. She's actually walking in different sites. And so that was also good to help them teach them providing feedback to each other in a positive way, right? And then Alan's, if you see they like the hook. If I had to describe myself in one word, that's another way to start. See, I choose optimism. And you probably heard Sasha has some slight mistakes in her speech, but that's not what I care about right now, right? The purpose is I need her to start talking about herself in that way. So that's the goal. So mistakes can come later. We can adjust, we can re-record, but this is a raw version of what they've done on their own. So this is something that you can easily do. The soft skills are different. So to basically say what we can practice every day and every lesson is asking questions. Let's just quickly, I mean, teamwork, you guys are all familiar. As I said, if you can name right now, I will ask you to think about a couple activities that you do that you can share for our colleagues and for all the for everybody who's listening and who will look at the recording. So what are the soft skills that you're using, and a couple activities that reinforce that? If you can drop those in the chat, or be ready to quickly say, just I practice soft skills, that's what I engage. Like that's how, right? We do the activity and then the how. So asking questions is essential. What I like to also practice is interview skills. And what I teach my students to do is who can say in a couple of words what's the difference between open-ended questions and close-ended questions and why both of them are important.
Yes, please, dear colleagues. Yeah, Ogulhan.
Yes. So closed questions like it requires yes or no questions. Like, an open-ended question, it requires to express the ideas and to answer them.
Exactly.
Like to think. Yes, it makes think. Yes, it is
So
a kind of open-ended question.
exactly. And if you want to ask your students, because they are also, making connections also requires us to be skillful in doing interviews, even if they are interviewing your group mate. So if they want, they can pick a partner that they don't know. You can easily help them practice that. And notice the difference. If you explain it up front, what's the difference between open-ended and close-ended, they will understand the difference. Both types are necessary, right? For example, if I want to know what's Yerkin's age, I will have to ask very straightforward, closed-ended questions because that's what I need as an information. But if my goal is to know more about the person, I might even want to say not a question, but a request. Yerkin, could you kindly describe, that's a question, could you kindly describe me your free time? He can easily say, no, I can't. I don't want to. See, I make a mistake falling into the loop of closed-ended question. If I say, tell me, please, what you like to do in your free time, that's a request, and that's where he will have to give me a story, right? Tell me more about your family. Or I have three members in my family. Tell me more about it. So I'm asking kids to learn how to save their energy so they don't ask question after question after question, and they're all closed, right? So, how about active listening? What's that tricky active listening? Probably the trickiest out of all. Aha. Don't see. Okay, that might be and also like let's do the following thing. So right now I'm also kind of fishing. I call it fishing. It's not a scientific term, but I'm fishing for your responses to actually suggest Yerkin the next topic. So right now, if there is a need for us to focus on active listening, that's what you guys will get next. So please feel free to drop in the chat if you would like to have more focus in our future presentations. And I will ask for the opportunity to prepare more activities and more things that you can actually get both the theory and the practice, but specific on active listening skills. Because we all love to say, oh, they need to actively listen. What does that mean in practice, right? And in teaching? Teamwork, that one I think we don't have any problem with. Farida.
I think in this case we are active listeners because we are focused on your session and we are listening to you, paying full attention. And I think active listening, that's it.
Okay, that's a good one. And it brings up the important point, right? As much as I know, I actually have to focus on listening to be able to perceive information and to listen to it. But and one more thing that we can actually add to that is reflections. And that's what is very important to teach our students too. Like, for example, right now, Farida told me that active listening, in her opinion, is when we focus on something. What did I do next to make sure I understand her correct? And if you heard, she said, yeah. The trick I used.
We elicit questions from the person.
We can
CCQ questions we can use.
Reflection.
Yeah. To understand better, to know if the students understand or don't understand.
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes you can actually do critical thinking. And if we do have another session, I will definitely focus on that too. I will teach you guys something that comes from psychology originally, but it actually helps our students to develop critical thinking. When there is some doubt or some facts that are contradictory to each other. On the one hand, you seem to like English class, and on the other hand, you keep missing classes. Can you help me understand that? See, I even can do double-sided question like this, or double-sided reflection, to actually express something that the student shared with me. He said he likes the class, but at the same time, there is a fact he's missing classes. So I can even have that as a style of work, but I can also teach my students to say, how would they work with a friend like this? On the one hand, you claim you're a friend of mine. On the other hand, you keep being late when I'm asking you to be on time. So that's a skill, and that's again something they can use in speech, but also something that will help them in real world life, right? To be assertive as well. So problem solving again and self-reflection. So I don't see the chat. I know we're close to the timing. So I do have more. As I told you, I'm always a squirrel. So I have gotten some more examples or some more activities that you can use, and I will provide the slides. And we can look like, and later on you guys can look, you can, if the students are still not there with their self-presentation, you can read and analyze a model of the text. That's useful too. So, or we can model ourselves, right? Depending on the level, of course. We can do a self-introduction. We can record that. We can do brainstorming worksheet, as I call it, and provide examples. What's the creative opener? What's the funny opener? You can try to ask them that, and they will choose a style, because somebody likes to make jokes, somebody might not, right? So, and then speaking of sharing can be done. I didn't put the video, it didn't connect for whatever reason, but I have my students sitting, like basically 5 of them on one side, 5 of them on the other, let's say, and they do the self-presentation to each other. And you know how they hate to learn text or do something at home. So that's a good way to reinforce that in the classroom. They wrote the text and they're presenting to one person. They move to the second person and they do it again. They move to the third person and they do it again. And they have different reaction because they're presenting to different classmates. The last person does their recording. By that time, they probably have finally learned their own self-presentation. So that's an easy way to trick them down in a way. And then you can promise them when they do self-presentation, they can also get the visual of what they like or they don't like in the way they're presenting. Too much hands, too many things like this. Girls are doing this all the time if they're shy. Boys are sometimes like this. So all of those non-verbal, verbal things can also help them, and it's in a safe environment of our classroom. Okay? So with that being said, there is more like on model text and whatnot. I will stop here and I guess ask you what's the one thing that you guys took out of today, if anything. And feel free to say if it was useless to you and you would like something differently, something to be done differently. I would love your feedback because then again, I would definitely want to use that. And if there is any topic you would want me to do next, that would be great too. So with that, let me stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anna, for wonderful presentations and for hook, self-expression, soft skill and hard skill, for everything that you presented very well. Thank you very much. And dear participants, please, you feel free to share your questions on our chat box. If you want, you can just ask here, please.
Thank you, Miss Anna. It was very cognitive, interesting session. We had reviewed today about soft skills and hard skills, asking questions, active listening, teamwork, problem solving, self-reflections. And now our task is to use everything what we had learned today in our real life, in our practice with the students whom we see every day. We will try to do it. Thanks a lot. I'm always admired with your speaking. Your speaking is very fluent. How did you manage to speak so confidently and freely without making any pauses and mistakes and using so
and making faces on a go. I never have good pictures when I train or teach or something. I have like all the possible facial expressions in the world. That's a bad side of it. But I think what I'm also encouraging my students to do, what I surrendered to, is that there is no end to perfection. So I love to use English as means to communication. It doesn't matter, like I do misspells as well. Sometimes when I'm in doubt, you know how you stop writing with your hand and then you're teaching the class and you're pausing for a second because you're doubting if there's double L or not. At this moment, I just turn to my students and I say, hey guys, can you check me? Or can you check on me? You know, I'm okay to say I forgot something. I'm okay to say I don't know something. And my students, it also facilitates their skills. They're like, yeah, there is one. Or they check and there is something and everything is okay. Because sometimes I'm also a human being. I stop writing much with my hand. Like I start, you know, those auto corrections, they get on the way too. So
thanks. But anyway, your speaking is great, you know?
I think it comes. I
Very
actually have an
good.
idea to have a speaking club for us as teachers too. That's something that has been on my mind for a long time because I recognize that as teaching community, we need to just come together and practice speaking too.
We had problems among our students. The problem of speaking, the main problem. We make them, specifically personally me, I try to make my students speak more freely and don't be afraid of me and try to express their ideas because it's the first my goal, my aim. If they speak, I think that they will have a good result at the end of the course, at the end of their studies.
And sometimes that's not what happens, right? They are hesitant. And okay, so that's basically the response that I wanted to show you. I don't know if you can see, but the language that this essay is written in is far from being English, right? But this is an essay that I asked her to write. And the reason for that is I don't want her to use GPT. I want her to actually freely express herself and then help her navigate how to translate this into English. And you can still get the GPT. And then what happens is we sit down. You see, this one was written with a GPT. And for example, take into account or something like there are some expressions that are way too high for her level that she used to basically like translate what she got. And I sit down with her and I never tell her I know she used GPT. I said, look, this is good, but this is complicated to learn, right? So if you were to say this, how can you also say it easier? But the original is her thoughts. So my whole thing is to allow them to basically, if it's Kazakh, then it's Kazakh first. If it's Russian first. Whatever language is they're comfortable to express thoughts, if they're not at the level where they are free to write, and you need them to write an essay, if somebody can correct me, 350 words or something sometimes. And our guys will give you this if you ask them to write on their own. So that's the way to ask them to give reflections. Seems like we're losing time, but I feel like I'm winning with that. And that's just one strategy that, that maybe is useful.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna. Thanks for your contribution.
To look through the chat just in case.
Yeah, thank you so much for your contribution. Yeah, of course, it's always for you 1 hour is not enough. You have a lot to share. So, and even when you asked about what is active listening, there was a post in the chat box, so there wasn't answer. So you suggested to have another session with us. Hopefully, we'll make it happen someday in the future. I'm so happy to have you today. Thank you so much for your presentation. Of course, Anna, are you following our Facebook page?
I definitely am.
Yes.
Try to get rid of me.
We don't have a lot of times now to answer the questions, so the time is restricted. But under the post where we will be posting our recording, please ask your questions under the post. And I'm sure if Anna see them, she will be very happy to answer your questions. So thank you so much, Anna, again. We will reach out to you shortly to hand out your certificate. So for now, dear participants, please stay for a couple of minutes. So I'm going to announce some upcoming webinars.
Thank you everyone for spending your time with me. Every time we choose something, we have different options. You could have been resting, sleeping, eating, I don't know, having a nice walk, but you chose to be here. So thank you for that. I hope you don't regret.
You are welcome, Anna. You are welcome. Okay, our upcoming webinar with another session in the Open Globe Insight segment with Malika Bouharada from Morocco, and it's going to be on November 22nd, 5 p.m. Tashkent time, and she's going to conduct the session on the topic of strategies for supporting resilience in English language learners. And our last webinar in November is going to be in the Alumni Connect segment, and our guest will be Tatiana Vitekina from Kazakhstan. She will be conducting the session on the topic of personalized and localized grammar learning. So as today, these sessions are also going to be great. So please join. Of course, you can apply for our segments, Educator Connect special webinar, as Anna did today. Cascade Learning, it's temporarily suspended because, you know, American English for now is not broadcasting the webinars. So Central Asia Voices Alumni Spotlight, if you are an alumni from Central Asia, you can be interviewed by one of our community leaders. And you can also share the tips. If you are not a member or follower of our Facebook page and YouTube channel, please, I will make a little bit pause here. Please scan the QR code and be a part of our growing community. That's it for today. That's it for today. Thank you so much, dear colleagues from Central Asia. It's because of you we exist. So the interest community, open interest community, that is being operated under the main open COP. So we have, you know, specifically segments specifically for open alumni from Central Asia. Those teachers who completed the GOC course. Again, thank you so much, Anna. We are very happy to have you today. Thank you so much, dear participants. Thank you so much, Ugul Khan, for moderating the chat box and facilitating Q&A session. We'll see you next time. See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone for participating, and thank you, our wonderful president, Miss Anna, again. Thank you all.